Not every film can be Citizen Kane, but even critics have claimed that it was shit in its day. Some films are shit and shit they will stay, but some get better over time because of Nicolas Cage. So which film stays shit forever? And which one's got a little bit better? Second chance movies. No Paul Blutts were harmed in the making of this podcast.
Welcome to Second Chance Movies, the podcast where we rewatch movies and decide if they deserve a second chance.
I'm Joe Harper, your host who loves rewatching movies and loves a good, big blockbuster popcorn flick.
And I'm Jessica Kwazz, your host who's a one-and-done kind of movie viewer who thinks Martin Scorsese is just so mean to Marvel. And today, we're giving a second chance to Age of Ultron.
Oh, wow. We're discussing this movie today because it's one of the lower rated of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. And it's kind of the start of Wanda and Vision. And WandaVision has completed. And we want to talk about it. See their origins. I know this is one of those Avengers movies that everyone shit on. And I want to see, is it as bad as people thought it was?
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've seen it, and I was very curious too if it is bad, if it holds up, if it got better with time. And yeah, like Joe said, this is where we get an introduction into some of our new Avengers, and we start to grow the team even more, which obviously has effects on the future movies of the Marvel Universe.
All right, guys. For those who are not aware, spoilers, first and foremost, we're talking about a movie. And spoilers will be had. So for those of you who do not know or don't remember this story quite so well, I'm about to read off what IMDb says as its summary. When Tony Stark and Bruce Banner try to jumpstart a dormant peacekeeping program called Ultron, things go horribly wrong, and it's up to Earth's mightiest heroes to stop the villainous Ultron from enacting his terrible plan. Bum, bum, bum.
Ooh.
I think their summary is too wordy. Let's just cut to the chase. My summary, the Avengers battle a robot.
There you go.
All right. How was your first viewing of this movie?
So I remember actually my first viewing pretty well. I went to the theaters opening weekend.
Okay.
And I went with a friend of mine. And at the time, like, we were pumped. We were like, cool. Another Avengers movie. Let's do this. This looks awesome. Like, I remember thinking the trailers looked really cool. So I was like I was ready. And then when the movie was over and we left the theaters, it was just kind of this feeling of, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, I guess that's what happened. Okay.
I definitely saw it in theaters. And yeah, I was pretty overwhelmed with the amount of things that were in it. There's a lot of things going on in this movie. It was fun action, but I just felt like maybe we're missing something. Maybe we got too much. Did it build up? I don't know. I was so excited, but it was a weird feeling.
It was. I don't want to say I was like disappointed. It was just more so like, okay, that happened. Like I didn't leave the theater where my excitement was met,
Well, so we didn't have a great first start to this movie. So let's see what others thought of this movie on their first go around.
Are you saying it's review time?
Of course. Let's read some reviews.
Yay!
So Richard Ropert of the Chicago Sun-Times, Avengers Age of Ultron is a sometimes daffy, occasionally baffling, surprisingly touching, and even romantic adventure with one kinetic thrill after another. It earns a place of high ranking in the Marvel Universe.
Wow, he had a lot of feelings about that.
It's all over the place.
It is. We apparently in this movie, we got a little bit of everything. Renee Rodriguez with Miami Herald wrote, Age of Ultron is all rush and sensation with little substance, but what a feeling.
All right, guys. Leonard Maltin Famous critic said Josh Whedon set a higher bar with the first Avengers and tried in many ways to top it here. He got close.
The shade of he got close. Wow. That was like a twist ending to that review. So moving into some negative reviews, Leona Lori with Geek Girl Authority wrote, by far the worst movie in the MCU. Also, why must Ultron have lips?
Oh, it is weird.
It is weird.
Ultron doesn't need lips.
It's super weird. Bob Grimm with Tucson Weekly wrote, feels like a bunch of these scenes Marvel usually reserves for the credits. It's more concerned about future films than the one it's actually in.
This is the movie that, oh man, does it set up so many things for future films?
It does, and we'll get into that later. But yes, there's some parts of the movie where it feels like, am I watching a commercial for future Marvel movies?
Ken Hankey of Mountain Express. It's too big, it's too frenzied, it's too full of characters it can't contain. Mostly, it's just too much of everything. Yeah, but is that a bad thing?
Yeah, are you aware of like the Avengers, sir, and their history in the comic books? Like, there's a lot of people going on there.
It's also a sequel to a team-up movie. So not only was that a big thing, we got to make that even bigger and better. Make the stakes even bigger.
But no, it's just way too much for his mind. Way too much.
I'm exhausted with all these things.
Oh my God, 3 additional characters introduced. I cannot.
Jessica, how do you feel your second time around? What is your second chance like? Your second viewing?
I tried to come at it with like a non-biased critical eye, of course, like I do for pretty much every movie on this show.
Okay.
I try. And there are certain moments and sequences that I do enjoy, but now watching it, knowing that some of the things introduced in this movie will play a big role, I do feel like a lot of the introductions are weak. And like we were saying, it is really hard to compare this movie just on its own because one, it's a sequel to the Avengers, and then also it is an introduction into the expansion of the MCU, you know, so you kind of have to look at it like that sometimes. I mean, this might just be me, but also with all the stuff that has come out about Joss Whedon and how just awful he is, especially on movie sets, it was hard to watch certain moments and enjoy them. I found myself getting like really creeped out or noticing things I hadn't noticed before that were just like icky. I don't like that. So that I had this sort of like tainted view because now knowing what we know.
What was the icky moments for you?
I'm so glad you asked because I'm so ready to talk about them.
Okay.
So
we'll rip this Band-Aid off first before we get into what we like and what we don't like.
Let's just rip it off, get it out of the way. One thing that really bothered me this time around more so than the first time I watched it, and I think this is my third time watching it. Okay. So, but it had been a while since I'd seen it.
It had been a while for me.
Okay, so yeah, the last time I saw it, there was some things that were like, I don't like that. But now again, seeing it through this lens, it's like, ooh, yikes. So the biggest thing for me is that I do not like how Black Widow is handled in this movie.
Okay.
Particularly her relationship with Bruce Banner. And here's why. So for those of you who've seen it, you obviously know that Bruce is at the point in his character where he is learning how to use the Hulk, but then contain it. And so they use this sort of method where Natasha like grabs his hand and like talks him down.
Sun's getting low.
let me sing you a lullaby, whatever. And at first that never really bothered me. I just thought it was like, oh, like a nice bond with someone he trusts, like blah blah blah. But watching it this time, I see it more as a woman who has to control a man's emotions. And
Interesting.
yeah, so like that's like, and that's just such a societal issue where women
You were just peeling some onion layers.
I really went
Okay.
deep on some of these things because it was just like, oh yeah. And I think that Black Widow is obviously throughout the MCU is like a very like supporting role of the team. Like she really is the one that like keeps them going, keeps them together. So I like that. But in this movie, it felt almost like she's there to support the men's needs specifically.
More so just, I think, Bruce. She's
Bruce specifically,
more to
yes.
Bruce than anything.
Yes. And there's some dialogue about her that really I find icky. Like just I can't remember it word for word, but there is a moment where Cap is talking to Bruce about like, oh, I think she likes you, bud, and he's like, no, she's just being flirty, like this big flirty slut, whatever. And Cap is like, no, I've seen her be flirty. This is something else. And it's like, can you like find better words? Like I don't like that. But like there's so many little things I picked up on with Black Widow that now just feel like so much like bigger and grosser, especially with how we know Joss Whedon handles female characters, with I guess the exception of Buffy, although there's a whole bunch of issues coming to light about that set. That's neither here nor there. The big thing that I want to talk about is the boob fall. So there's a scene where Ultron attacks the Avengers while they're having a little party moment. He comes in, he just starts shooting at them, fucking shit up. Natasha runs and hides behind the bar and grabs Bruce to protect him. If that had been the moment alone, dope, like cool. But then we cut to them behind the bar and he falls onto her boobs, head into the boobs, which is like, okay, wow. Did a middle schooler write that joke? It's just gross. But what made it even grosser for me this time around is knowing a story that Ray Fisher told about Joss Whedon when he was he took over directing for the Justice League, the theatrical version. So, as you may know, they do that same thing in the Justice League.
The same joke?
The same joke where the Flash falls on top of Wonder Woman's boobs, like head in her chest. So one, they regurgitate an already very like low-hanging fruit kind of joke. But what makes it even weirder and grosser is one, Ray Fisher came out and said that he would call Wonder Woman Black Widow. He would call Diana Natasha, just like straight up, they're all women fighting, whatever, who cares? That's
weird.
It's so weird. Because they're also two very different characters. And they're two very different people.
You know, we talk about a lot of characters in movies, but I feel like we don't mix them up like that. Especially like we're talking this universe. I might get these universe characters mixed around, but not like separate universes. I'm never looking at Batman thinking, well, Batman here.
Right. Especially if you're in charge of the goddamn material, sir. But
yeah, didn't you write it?
Yeah, don't you aren't you in charge here?
Haven't you spent months writing Wonder Woman did this, Wonder Woman that?
So, but
Black
then
Widow.
What makes it even grosser is, according to Ray Fisher, who I fully believe everything that man says, because I power to him for speaking out. Joss Whedon would brag about the boob fall in Justice League and would be like, yeah, we did it in Ultron too. It's really great. It's really funny. So we're going to do it here. Like, sir, this is such a stupid gimmick. Do not be proud of this. Do not be proud of this outdated joke. Like, just get away. Ugh. So yeah, that's just like, those were things when it comes to the women that like I noticed that were really upsetting. And there were a few things about Scarlet Witch as well, where she just was like, she was introduced poorly. She like, the way the men would talk about her as well was a little like, I don't love this. And I can't help but think it comes from a sort of misogynistic Joss Whedon mind. So yeah.
Yikes! Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. He sucks.
I will say my thoughts on at least giving Scarlet. I'm always going to call her Scarlet Witch. It's not. It's Scarlett Johansson playing Black Widow. That's where I get my confused. That's how I might slip up. Not calling her Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
but keep calling her Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. I mean, that
Scarlet
makes sense.
Widow.
Scarlet and Scarlet. So yeah.
See, but that's the same word at least.
Yeah.
Not
And they're
Black
in the
Widow
same
and
movies.
Wonder Woman.
Right.
They don't even sound alike.
Oh my God. Okay. Sidebar. Can I tell another Ray Fisher story here real quick? Because
Sure. I mean,
find
this
it
is what we came to
insane.
talk about. Ray
Okay.
Fisher and Justice League on our Age of Ultron show.
Just one more, because I just like read about this the other day and it like is so disgusting. But
Just want to warn our audience, this episode is probably going to be 3 hours long.
When they were doing ADR for Joss Whedon's Justice League, Gal Gadot refused to say a particular line that she found to be either like offensive or just like stupid. And apparently that was happening a lot on set. Like apparently Jeremy Irons like refused to say certain lines because he thought it was dumb. But anyway,
Wow.
So during ADR, Gal Gadot was like, no, I'm not saying that. That's fucking stupid, essentially. And Joss said, really? Because I can take away Wonder Woman 2 from Patty the same way I took away Justice League from Zack Snyder.
I hope that was not a real quote. Oh my God, what a piece of shit.
He sucks. So
guys, for those not in the know, he didn't take over Justice League from Snyder. Snyder stepped away because his child passed away.
Yeah.
It's so fucking heartbreaking. Fuck Joss Whedon.
Fuck Joss Whedon. Fuck him. Fuck him.
So I think we were talking about one of the Marvel movies.
Oh yeah.
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm. While we're on the topic of Black Widow, hard time calling her Black Widow and not Scarlet
Widow.
So I think it is weird that her only purpose in this movie is to like serve Bruce for the majority of it, or like for a good chunk of it, not all of it. But it is weird giving these two a romance. I don't think she needs a romance. I don't think there needs to be a romance, at least in the Avengers movies, until we can establish like when it was like earned, because them like becoming a couple happened off screen and nothing was planted beforehand. I know I've talked about how I kind of like to like skip the getting to know you. We've already planted the seed. We can jump the gun on it. But no, in Incredible Hulk, he's dating Betty Ross, and her dad eventually keeps being part of the series. He ends up in Cap Civil War and in Infinity War, and I think he's going to be in Black Widow. So we saw that character, and we totally forgot about Betty. I almost think it was Liv Tyler that was Incredible Hulk. They've totally forgotten about her, and it kind of bums me out. Like, why haven't they mentioned her at all? They had a whole scene where they were talking about like, oh, Natalie Portman is there and Gwyneth Paltrow's somewhere else. Reasons why they're not here. They don't mention anything about Betty.
No, she has been scrubbed away.
Man. So, and like, I get if you have to make her have like a relationship with one of the other Avengers to create drama or something. Bruce is I guess the best character out of this group, because Cap is kind of like her like brother, her like, and so is like Hawkeye. They're all like coworkers that are good friends and trust each other, and I don't see like a romance that's going to be developed anywhere. So it is weird, and I can't ever tell like in this how deep into the relationship They are. Even when they're like at Hawkeye's like secret hideout home, like he's in the shower and she was like, "Oh, I was thinking about sneaking in." Has she? Have they showered together before? Have they never showered? Have they never seen each other naked? Like, where does their relationship lie? It was super unclear.
So unclear. I wasn't even sure if like were they even having a thing or was it developing like in the movie?
Right.
Like,
Was it like
you know,
we're thinking we've gone on a few dates and had some drinks and we've gone on a superhero mission and like what?
it I think I would have appreciated her being able to help him control the Hulk versus Bruce so much more if it was just like a deep friendship, that you can trust me, I'll help you with this.
See, when you were talking about it being more so like a woman calming a man's aggression, I thought of it as like she's the spy of the group and has well, because she has like the seductiveness and just like kind of like a silver tongue that just like she's so good at talking and like commanding a room with communication that she has developed some sort of sense of I know how to like um manipulate or at least calm him down with something, some
and
sort of chant.
I think that could have been a lot stronger if again they were just like good buds and supportive coworkers, as opposed, because the woman controlling a male's aggression, I got that vibe because they're like romantic, you know what I mean? If it was just like, hey, I have the skills to help you and you trust me and I trust you, I'll help you. But just adding the weird levels of like romance, are they together, were they ever together, are they gonna be together, like all that just made it so much more like, okay, are you
We need
just
just a
doing
stronger
this because you want to bang him or like what?
we need a stronger opinion of where they're at in the relationship, or don't have them in a relationship. None of
Yeah,
these guys need to be dating. They can have a romance saved for their own separate private movies, or a character that makes sense for a relationship.
yeah. And then like I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but then like during the big fight, he literally just like dips. He gets in a little like plane thing and dips and then is like, I'm not talking to you anymore. And it's like, well then what was all this for? I'm very confused. Like
If he's just going to abandon her,
if he's just gonna straight up abandon her because like
and
you won't be safe around me, she clearly is.
she gets captured by Ultron, he's the Avenger, not as Hulk, but as Bruce that goes and saves her. And her first instinct is shoving him into a giant hole so Hulk can come out. I don't see romance, guys. I
No,
see like a really weird abusive relationship.
it's, yeah, it kind of comes off as toxic as hell if we're gonna go down this romantic route.
I felt more of like I guess I had more feelings even when like Nat is telling him Hawkeye when she's got the prototype of what's going to be Vision. Ultron's trying to create this new perfect body for himself. She's got him in this like coffin and she's in an airplane and she's like, "Get ready." And he's like, "Wait, what are you doing?" And just launches herself through the air. I felt more of like, "Oh my god, poor Hawkeye, he's going to lose his best friend."
Yes.
Than anything with Bruce and Nat related. So,
Also, when she is captured by Ultron after that moment, it's Hawkeye who's like, where the fuck is she? We gotta find her.
He's like the only one that's concerned in like doing research to find out where she is. This is a relationship we focus on, not a romance, but like the best friends that are like we've been coworkers and we've been spies for forever. Focus on this. These are the two I want to see in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get off of this for a second because we
talked so much about that stupid relationship.
Let's talk about something we do like. I want to talk about my favorite moment, or at least I think my favorite thing in this movie, the Hulkbuster fight.
Okay, yeah, no, that is a great sequence. It's really fun and very unexpected too, I might say.
The lead up to this is just they fight Ultron And during the fight, Scarlet Witch is putting some like hexes on their minds. So like half the team is down, and Hawkeye's got to babysit that half that's having bad nightmares. And Scarlet Witch puts a little hex on Bruce, who hulks out and goes and destroys some African city, and it is nuts. I just like the look of this town. We're in a new place that like we've never visited. Um, and then we get Tony has to use this giant Iron Man suit, referred to as the Hulkbuster. He created this solely just to stop Bruce, and this fight just elevates itself throughout. There's one new thing. Each part of the suit has a new thing where like Hulk breaks off an arm of the suit, another arm shoots down. That arm can now capture Hulk's hand and lock it in place and shoot off. There's also a cage that drops down to stop the Hulk. He's thought of a lot of things to help calm Bruce down or stop Hulk if he hulks out too much. And they destroy so much.
They destroy so much. And there's so many cool destructive sequences within that where like Iron Man literally drops Bruce through a fucking building, hoping that that'll stop
It's just like punching him all the way down too, just like really. And wow. I this is definitely one of my top like 5 favorite action sequences in the MCU. I just think it's 2 big giant things that are CGI beating the shit out of each other, destroying everything.
Yeah,
so pleasing to the eye. So
definitely fun. I think it's probably actually like one of my, maybe is my favorite fight sequence of this movie because it's just so over the top in such a fun way. I mean, it's weird to say fun for destructive. Yes, there's stakes.
Like
there's
we
big stakes.
We gotta calm my friend Bruce down, and before he destroys all these innocents.
And in the meanwhile, shit, we're destroying a lot. Like there is stakes and there's consequences to it as well.
Wow. So Jessica, since there's so little you like about this movie, what is something you did like about this movie?
So one of my favorite things about this movie is the expansion of our team. I really like that we are slowly growing. I mean, we add essentially like 4 new members of the Avengers, but it's just fun to see the expansion, these people coming in, fighting with our team that we know, getting to kind of know them a little bit, getting to see a little bit of their origin. So we have War Machine and we have Falcon, who are already established at this point, but aren't officially part of the team.
At the end, they become part of the team.
At the end, they become part of the team, which is War Machine like does help in the main fight against Ultron. So it's just nice to bring them in. And then we also get the introduction of Quicksilver, who meets his demise in this film. So he and then we get Scarlet Witch and Vision. I like Vision's introduction. I think it's really fun and compelling. So I like that. I like that it was sort of the start of the MCU growing the Avengers family.
That's what I kind of like. That's one of my things I wrote is one of the things I like about this movie is that it sets up so much of the future of the MCU. It sets up Captain America and Iron Man disagreeing and starting to go separate ways. We get introduced a little bit better to Infinity Stones. At least our group gets to learn about the Infinity Stones and not just the Guardians of the Galaxy. We kind of set up for WandaVision in a way where we get created Vision and get to introduce Wanda, and we see bits and pieces of them. And then this also is the first time we get mention of Wakanda that eventually will lead to Black Panther. That's up a lot of stuff.
Okay, so this is like really cheesy.
Okay.
Really cheesy. But after watching WandaVision, I'm obsessed with Wanda and Vision, as most of us are. But like, okay, it's really, really lame. But one, I love that Wanda gets to rip out Ultron's heart. I think that's dope.
I do like it, but I also just think a robot having a heart is so stupid.
Yes, I agree. And I do wish she was the one that actually like ripping his heart out was more like ripping out his mainframe or did more destruction, because obviously that didn't kill him. But I like that she gets some
that
sort
kills
of
him.
No, he pops back up.
That's a different. I mean, okay, that kills that specific one.
Sure.
Ultron himself is like an idea virus computer
Yeah, he's
thought
through the
that
internet.
can like
Yeah.
go through the internet and
Right.
inhabit any of his robot bodies.
Okay, so I like that Wanda does get to inflict some sort of pain on him and rip out the heart of that Ultron, because he is responsible for destroying her entire city.
I mean, that was Ultron Prime. That was like the main top one.
Yes.
What Vision destroys is just like his backup of like, I'm the last one.
Yes. And then this is really cheesy, but I like that when the city is coming down and things are getting real and it looks like Wanda might die, Vision swoops in and gets her out of there. I just think
and then
that's
they
nice.
look at each other
Yeah.
I think she looks up at him for like a half second.
Yeah, it's like, oh, who are you? Oh.
I remember in theaters, everyone was like, ooh. I think one of the other things I really enjoy about this movie is the time it gives Hawkeye. I love that we get like there's a part I like about Hawkeye and the part I just don't like about Hawkeye. One, I love these hints of like, like, oh, do you have a girlfriend? No, I don't. And then, yeah, it's my girlfriend on the phone. He's trying to play like a mystery of keeping his wife and family hidden for safety purposes. I love that he has a little family out in the middle of nowhere and they go hide out there with him. I think it's cute.
I agree. I think it is cute. I like that too, where it's like he does have a family, and that family even calls Black Widow like Aunt Natasha. Like it's just sweet. Like it's just very sweet. And I do like, that like you said, he hid them for safety purposes, but it's like, okay, the team's in peril. We need a beat. I trust y'all. Come over to my house. And just sort of having this like reveal of like, yeah, he's got a life outside of this. Like he's got a whole thing. I think that's really sweet too. And I do like to I like the farm scenes because they add some humor to it. Like watching these big Avengers interact with kids is really cute. And yeah, we get the wood rip moment, which is dope. I will say though on that is I think I would have liked it even more if the team, especially Tony, took the time to do some like really deep introspection on like what they just went through and what they just did as well. Because to piggyback off that, one thing I don't love about this movie is that Tony like really does not take responsibility for what he's done a lot. And he doesn't seem to like learn from it. We see him kind of learn from it in Civil War, but like in this movie, it's not like he takes the time to be like, oh shit, I like fucked up, and how can I learn from this or anything like that. And I think the farm scene, having our team be like isolated and out there, could have just been like a really good opportunity for them to each like look within themselves and kind of like help each other out in these feelings. So I think that was a little bit of a missed opportunity, but other than that, yeah, the farm is pretty sweet. I do like that.
And Thor dips to go learn about Infinity Stones.
So I just find the introduction to the Infinity Stones to be really messy in this movie, because at this point it's pretty obvious that the filmmakers, the producers, Marvel know that that's the direction we're heading in, is these Infinity Stones. And we get like some explanation throughout the movies leading up to Infinity War. Cool. But like I feel like this first time introduction is just so sloppy. There's no actual like, hey, this is what they are, and this is what could really fuck shit up, So basically what we get is we have, Loki's scepter in the beginning and the Mind Stone. We know about the Mind Stone. Cool. But like
we didn't know it was a stone. It's revealed in this movie.
Yeah, yes. Basically Thor just gets in a bath and has a dream and sees them.
Well,
But
he first gets his vision for Wanda when she
mhm,
does a little dream on everybody. His dream is like partying with Heimdall or our boy Idris Elba. Um and like they say some weird stuff about everyone's gonna die, and that leads him to like go on his vision quest
mhm,
to this pool.
right. But like I just have issues like with how he gets in his little dream bath and he sees the Infinity Stones and he has some like, trippy flashes of destruction and like what's to come and like what could happen. But like then that's kind of it. Like that it's not like he goes back to the Avengers and reports like, hey guys, like I think I've figured something out. We might want to keep this on our radar. Like it's just sort of like, hey, here's some stones. And
The first thing he does is just fucking hit the Mind Stone with his hammer. Doesn't have a discussion with any of them. Ah! Just smashes and turns it into vision. And he's just like, oh, the reason I did that was like, oh no, dude.
it's just very convoluted and very messy. And it like we didn't need to have like a full-blown description of like each Mind Stone or anything, but just a little something for us to start to be able to grasp like what this means, especially for us like myself who
Don't know what they are.
didn't read the comics, don't know what they are. Just a little like seed planted of like this stuff, these Mind Stones are at play and some bad shit can happen with them. Just a little bit of that. Instead, it's just very convoluted.
Yeah,
No, we don't
need
need a full history. No.
Just give us a slight, I know these things are bad, so we should probably destroy them.
Yeah, like we should keep them on our radar after like we're done here.
And then we wait until Doctor Strange can tell Tony, oh, this is the history of them.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Like
Beautiful.
Here's a little bit more about it. But for now, like, let's just plant that idea of like, hey guys, there is something up with these things that I think
Thor
I figured out.
I think Thor is super wasted in this movie.
Completely. And I love Thor. I fucking love Thor. And yeah, I just think he's got some cool fight scenes, he's got some cool action sequences. But like other than that, like, yeah, he hits Vision's Mind Stone hits the Mind Stone with a hammer, helps create Vision, and he takes a bath, and then he fights.
One of the cool fight sequences I think is the opening when they're attacking Hydra, and they're all just through like the snowy woods, and there's one long shot that shows off all their powers or all their abilities, and then has a shot of all of them jumping through the air.
Yeah,
I think that looks great.
It does look really great, but one thing I didn't like about that is that they thrust us into the action. Like that is the beginning, is like them fighting. And that's fine. That's fine. Like that's not a problem if we just start with the action. That makes it exciting. But like this also seems to be a significant fight that we're supposed to understand what's going on. And so one thing that bothers me about just that whole thing is like there's some dope fighting, and that's what we're focusing on. We're focusing on these cool shots and these cool sequences, but then at the same time there's exposition that we're supposed to take in that gets kind of lost. So it's like it's not until we see Loki's scepter that I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's up, that's why we're here.
You would have had to remember Winter Soldier and that most of S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra. And then on top of that, you have to remember, you'd have to stay through all the post credits and watch that Hydra had stolen Loki's scepter.
Yes.
And you get that little bit of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in their cages. But like,
yes.
I don't like that they just throw away this like kind of new villain that they've created, Strucker.
Yeah.
Because he also dies off camera, and I hate it when like a prominent person we know dies off camera.
Right.
What are you doing?
We
could have shown Ultron murder that guy.
And yeah.
Went, oh fuck, he's powerful and he can kill these.
But speaking of Ultron and how powerful he is, I do think that there are a lot of issues with Ultron. I think that he's sort of underutilized for how much power he actually has. So, as we were saying before, he is an AI that basically has free reign with the internet, essentially. And instead of using that to create destruction, like getting into power grids, getting into uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Air traffic control. Like instead of like really starting to create destruction
And chaos.
or and chaos, or use the Avengers the high tech technology to fuck shit up for them, he uses the internet to just like travel, essentially. Which is like, I mean, okay, that's kind of cool because you never really know where he can go. But at the same time, like, I just would have loved more of him and his power, because it is very interesting to have a villain that can infiltrate our internet. Like, that is terrifying. And we don't get like any of that, truly. And
So
then,
they definitely rush anything with Ultron.
yes,
I think he's a character that should have been built up um for like eagle eye viewers when he's like decoding all of the like internet when he first like turns on. You can see his like jump and thought process if you're like pausing a lot. I had to do a deep dive for this one. Like he
mm-hmm,
definitely like sorts, like how wars get started. He has all the information about Tony, everything Tony has said. So he gets a lot of his personality from Tony and all of his ideas from articles of what Tony has said, which lead into like war. And because Tony used to do wars,
mm-hmm.
create weapons for war. And so a lot of his thought processes is based off of that. And I think ultimately his idea is, well, to get rid of all this, I just have to get rid of humans because they're the ones that keep doing this over and over again. One person starts it, but while that's being started, they oppress someone who's oppressed counterattacks, and it's just a back and forth. So just get rid of all of them and start anew. And which is a good concept, but it's so rushed that like you don't get time to like hang out with Ultron or see his thought process because he's a computer and it goes way too fast.
Mm-hmm.
Also hate that he's like too human in a way. Um,
Yeah.
he's the one thing I wish they would not have done was have, because he's kind of a creation of Tony, get rid of the sarcasm. Make him like a
Yes.
more serious Drax, where
Mm-hmm.
maybe he's not oblivious to things. He's super intelligent, but he's not like sarcastic or has a joke every fucking 2 minutes. I hate it when Ultron jokes. I feel like Ultron wouldn't be a jokester. Not every character has to have jokes all the time. And I feel like because it's a Josh Whedon project, every fucking character has to be sarcastic, has to have something witty to say. And not every person is witty. And we don't have to have our main villain witty.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it makes him far less menacing when he's like cracking jokes. I also do sort of feel like they took a page from the Loki book and were like, well, Loki's funny and people like Loki, so let's throw some humor in there. But it was completely unnecessary. And at times I was like, I don't find you seriously because you're cracking like fucking dad jokes. Like, stop.
When we get to when we get to Infinity War, Thanos isn't funny.
No.
He just has a drive, and I think we all connect with his drive of like, I have a mission that I believe is right. And that's why we
Mm-hmm.
all like him, because he sticks with it. Whereas Ultron is just like goofing around and joking and not like getting what he's doing. Like when he cuts like Claw's hand off, he's just like, oh, I didn't realize that would oops. Oh, you should have like, I did this on purpose. Fuck you for whatever you're trying to be like Tony. Or you
Mm-hmm.
so that's what Tony said. I don't like that guy. Which is why you shouldn't act like that guy.
Right. I also do have an issue with like the motivation, because it seems to, at first when he first bursts on the scene, he thinks that the Avengers should be extinct.
Yeah.
And that's like the goal, is like, fuck you guys, you're creating destruction, you need to go. And then it shifts to, okay, but all humanity has to go. And it's like, maybe like you were saying, because it's done so quickly, I did find myself having trouble with being like, okay, but like, how did we get from the Avengers to all of humanity needs to go? Like that.
The movie, here's my tweet. He just deals with the Avengers.
Exactly. I would have preferred that so much more. I think that would have made it more concise, and instead of like the Avengers having to save the world, they need to save themselves. That could have been interesting.
Because I feel like most of the movie dealt with them falling apart as a group.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of being split, but then we would have them bond together, make sure, we got to work together to beat this robot who's pulling us apart.
Yeah, and then too, like the mind fuckery Scarlet Witch gives them would make more sense, that they are falling apart, but we got to get ourselves back together because he's coming at us. He wants us fucking dead, and he has control of all of our technology, so he could really do some damage. Like, I think we don't need this another story where it's like, we got to save humanity.
The world is going to blow up.
The world's going to blow up, which, by the way, a floating city
that's just gonna drop.
It's just gonna drop as a meteor. Okay, I think there could have been other ways.
Yeah.
A little more creative.
So I do think if we're rewriting this movie, Ultron destroying Avengers, subplot or other issue we're dealing with, Ultron is evolving into a more human or a better form that would be more destructive towards them or be more invincible. That's why he's creating Vision to stand up and be able to stop the Avengers.
Yes.
And then they're just one step ahead and they take over that idea, turn it into Vision. And then Ultra's like, well, fuck, that was my... Damn it.
It could have been so cool if it was like a cat and mouse game between Ultron and the Avengers, instead of like, Ultron hates us, but now he wants to ruin the world. What are we gonna do about it? Like, we've seen that, guys. We see it a lot more. Like,
especially, we got a great actor, James Spader, doing the voice of Ultron.
Yes, the voice work is great.
Especially the first time we see Ultron, when he's like the mangled up, Iron Man security robot that was kind of like, I've got no strings. Oh man, it's so creepy. And I really wish they had kept, like, I don't know, him just like learning and always wanting to learn. Just don't make him fucking joke every 2 minutes.
We don't need humor.
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
Other Avengers can.
Sure, we know them. We can crack jokes with them, but like, the villain, again, Loki is special. We don't need to keep trying to regurgitate him with Ultron here. Like, nah, I would have taken him way more seriously. Seriously, copy paste Loki and make him a robot.
Well, from our history with Jaws, it seems like he just copy paste. It worked when he fell into her boobs. It would work this time too. I think this is my last. I hate this. Post credits, we get Thanos grabbing a glove, going, "Fine, I'll do it myself."
What does that mean?
In the context that we get later, he's not the one that makes the glove, or he didn't have that glove already on hand. Dinklage's like giant dwarf made it. And so, like, what is this? What does this part mean now? It doesn't make sense.
It's super weird
because, like, all it is bright white light behind him when you can't see anything else in the ship. Fine, I'll do it myself.
But like, why does he say fine, I'll do it myself?
You weren't trying to kill the Avengers. They have nothing to do with you. Ultron also is not in on it. What is happening?
And it's not like, was he sending people to find the Infinity Stones? I don't think so. Like, what is this line?
The weirdest post-credit scene
Yes.
ever. It's very unnecessary. It really is just like hey, let's tease some Thanos.
And
well, what should we put? Who cares?
yeah, just have him there. And I remember though when the movie came out, people were like, oh, Thanos. Like people were pumped just to see him. So now looking back a few years later, it's like, yeah, that was a really dumb tease because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
All right, well, let's talk about, should everyone give this a second chance?
Well, I say, nah, don't worry about it. It's pretty messy, it's pretty sloppy. There's just a lot going on. Some things introduce the future of the MCU, but I feel like without seeing this movie you could understand those introductions anyway. Like you don't need this movie that lays some foundation down. I said this during my Iron Man 2 call of don't give it a second chance. There's just so many quality Marvel movies, there's so many quality comic book movies that like you don't need to waste your time with this one. I would say, yeah, there's some cool action sequences, but there's even better ones in other Marvel movies. I'd say nah, watch like Civil War instead. That's dope. Like what, just nah, you don't need to.
Well, I'm gonna say absolutely give this a second chance. It's just a lot of fun. Yeah, there's really sloppy moments and stuff, but overall, I think it's got fun action. It's got our characters that we like, and it's all of them together. They're solo movies. I'm not as interested anymore, given it's more fun seeing them all work together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun to revisit, like, because this kicks off a lot of what spreads out in the MCU. So it was a fun trip down memory road. And you know what? The action just makes me just enjoy and have fun while I watch it.
Well, another disagreement, but that's okay because yeah, that's us.
It's okay that Jessica's wrong. Just watch it and have fun. If you like the Avengers, I'm sure you'd love rewatching it.
And it's okay that Joe is a little too obsessed with the Avengers. And
if you don't like superhero movies, this was not the movie for you.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
An overwhelming amount of superheroes in it.
Yeah, I don't know. If you've never seen a superhero movie before, don't have this be your first one, please. Like, just don't. So that's that. Joe says, yes, give it a second chance. I say, nah, find something more entertaining. Sorry about it, Joe. Let us know what you think, though. Leave us a comment, a review. Let us know what you feel like about Age of Ultron. Does it deserve a second chance? Is it one of the worst? Do you hate it? Do you love it? Are you meh about it? Let us know. And please leave us, again, a review. It really helps people to find the channel. And you can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Second Chance Movies, where you can stay up to date on the show. You can also find us on YouTube if you're listening to the audio version. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can find us the audio version.
Especially if you want to see our pretty faces.
And my dope makeup, always on theme for the movie.
We'd like to give a shout out to Beaty McBeatface for writing our theme song, performing it. Man, I just love our theme song.
I do too. We really lucked out with that. So thank you, Beaty McBeatface. And yeah, we'll be back next week with another movie.
You didn't see that coming?
Second chance.